Hello, welcome to Uncle Cthulhu Reviews. So today's video is me talking about an event I was at the weekend. So it was called the Great Game Replayed, and it was organised on behalf of a charity called Waterloo Uncovered. Now Waterloo Uncovered is a combination of helping military veterans and battlefield archaeology and helping them with whatever needs they may have, and every year it accumulates in a 2 week stay at Hougoumont, where they'll do research with academics on the battlefield and archaeology and stuff. And I'm really jealous. Hougoumont somewhere I've always wanted to go to, but it is a worthy cause. I hope either next year or the year after to be able to book out Hougoumont, because you can book it out, maybe stay for a week and do some Napoleonic battles there. So the event itself, so it was based around 2 days, which is the Saturday and Sunday, which was going to be the largest war game ever hosted. And there's a bit of a bum fight at the moment with Guinness to try and get that recognised. On top of that, the principal organiser, Dr. Tony Pollard, is a lecturer at Glasgow University. You might remember him as one of the two men in a trench from the series in the late 90s, early 90s maybe. And so he's been able to have the resources of the University of Glasgow, and it was held in the Kelvin Gallery. Now, because he's an academic, he was able to organise a study day as well on the Thursday, and that was a series of lectures based on Waterloo and topics around that as well. So I'll start talking about the studio and then I'll talk about the organisation. Now I do have prompt cards to keep me on cue, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. So the studio was really informative. It's been ages since I was at a university lecture theatre, and this was held in the anatomy lecture theatre at the University of Glasgow, next to the Hunterian kind of medical history part. I missed the first 1.5, just getting up to Glasgow, off to the university and stuff, so a bit more tricky to get up there in time. And it was a really good day. The first few was about putting the battle into context of the time and period. We had a guy, Alan, I forget his second name, who had lots of weaponry, so I was able to handle a land pattern musket shot, a Confederate musket, Baker rifle, heavy cavalry sabre, light cavalry sabre, and actually there was a handheld mortar that the troops would carry into battle, which I didn't know existed during the Napoleonic days. That was really interesting. Then in the afternoon, there was lectures in archaeology, the statuary of like Wellington, Nelson, and Sir John Moore in Glasgow, and about the works of the charity as well. In the morning as well, there was a one on battlefield surgery, and actually the one on the battlefield surgery I found fascinating. I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I would. I mean, I've seen and read the book about the battlefield surgery before, with the classic pictures of the wounds inflicted on the soldiers at Waterloo, but having a surgeon expert in this field talk about it, bring it alive, was really, really good. And Dr. Tony Pollard's talk about the archaeology of the battlefield and how they were finding musket balls in Hougoumont, which probably proved that the French got into the gardens and further into the complex as they'd expected due to the patterns of finding. It was really interesting. And actually, over the course of the day, I got asked a couple of questions. One was about loading muskets when the bayonet's attached, because you often hear about troops skinning and causing damage to the hand when they're doing it. But it was demonstrated that actually it was quite easy to do if you were focused on it without skinning your hands on the bayonets. The second one was the final question of the day, which was a bit of a loaded question, which was if it wasn't going to be called the Battle of Waterloo, what should it have been? In case you don't know the history of it, when Blucher met Wellington, they met at Napoleon's former command at the Battle of Waterloo, which was at La Belle Alliance Inn, and Blucher suggested it should be called the Belle Alliance since it was the Anglo-Allied army and the Prussians which defeated the French. Of course, Wellington decided it was going to be called Waterloo. So, yeah, Tony agreed that it should have been called La Belle Alliance. I didn't ask about my question, the one I wanted to ask about, because it didn't really come up. So if any of you have any insights on this, in a couple of images and in a couple of texts, certainly not in all of them, I've heard about Napoleon having like a wooden observational tower built for the battlefield so we could see, and certainly French army had pioneers and skills to be able to do that, but I've not had that definitely confirmed, so that'd be really interesting. Now the study day also inspired me to try a new project. So the rough idea is every couple of months we get a pub function room and we get some speakers in to do some talks on military history. Now there is so much talent out there with military history. We've got obviously academics in the field, but also people like myself, Stuart Strong from Geese and Grace, who have got a great interest in history and military history and a lot of expertise. And we've never finished our degrees. We don't have the academic qualifications, but we do have insights to share. So we'll get some speakers like that, like myself. And also, the plan is maybe to have 2 speakers on the evening. But also I thought we'd open it up to the ground and turn it history for the common man. So if people want to have a go at maybe doing a 10-15 minute talk or a presentation on a particular topic, they can certainly have that a go as well. So more details about that later, but we'll crack on with the event itself. So that was a study day, and yeah, study day was, as you probably tell, really inspiring for us. So the event organisation, so I first heard about this a couple of years ago in Wargame Strategy and Soldiers, and it was going to be a big Battle of Waterloo in Glasgow, my hometown. I'm a massive Napoleonic War fan. I've got 28mm armies. How could I resist? So I signed up. Now, as somebody myself, I've got background in organising events, and I've organised events for 700-800 people. So I know the pressures and the organisation that goes into that. On my part, it was so smoothly organised. Everything that I needed to get out of the organisation of the event itself went without a hitch. I was turning up late on a Saturday. It wasn't until like 2-3 weeks before the event I found out I'd have to work the Saturday morning. So I turned up at 11:30 on the Saturday, but it was fine. Everything went without a hitch. I was able to leave some letters for my divisional commanders. So yeah, smooth, really well done. My ticketing went fine. Any communications I had in advance went fine. Any issues I had with newsletters and stuff were done really well. So yeah, as somebody who organises events, that's a big thumbs up from me. So the main hall was for the players, and that's where the tables are set up. So there's 4 lines of tables, players were there. But also what was organised was for spectators to come. It was set in the Kelvin Gallery, which was a superb venue. It's like Glasgow University is an old university. I think it's coming up 400, 450 years old or something, or maybe 500, who knows, 1500. So it's a really old room. It's got a balcony that goes around. So the idea was spectators get tickets, go up, and all the money goes towards a charity that was raised. Go around and they could look down on the battlefield, giving them like a god's eye view of it. And there were games and Warlord Games had demo games and some of the other clubs, and there was the scale modelers as well. Reenactors were out the front and out the side, so it was a real interesting thing to come along and watch if you had an interest in wargaming or just interest in military history, or even just to see the spectacle itself. Because I don't think stuff like this is, it probably will be repeated now it's been done, but certainly it's a unique thing. You're not going to see much of this done. The other thing is the volunteers and all the people helping out and all the players were in great spirits. I would say one of the key things for the event was a real fellowship and camaraderie. And yeah, I have no complaints about the event or the organisation. How the game ran. So this was me when I first heard about it, I thought there's tons of things that could go in here. Get 100 wargamers in a room together, you're going to get 105 different opinions on how things should go. So the game itself was 20-minute turns. So French had 20 minutes, the Allies had 20 minutes. We were fighting the Prussians most of the day. So probably when I say Allies, I'll probably say Prussians. And on the first day, I turned up halfway through a turn. It felt a bit of pressure for time. Getting stuff done. But actually, once you got into the flow of the thing and the game was running, I mean, I had a really frantic morning. I'd been really busy at work, so I turned up and I was just thrown into the thick of it. But actually, second day, 20 minutes were fine. We were getting our turns done in 10, 15 minutes, and we were able to chat and have a walk around. That meant, I think, over the course of the day, there were 18 turns aside. So a lot of stuff happened. The first day, actually, the French went all out for an assault on the Allied lines, and actually, I thought I thought there wasn't going to be much French left by day two, but yeah, no, it's sorted out. The game itself, the Prussians. So, as somebody myself, I've got 6mm Waterloo. Getting the Prussians on the field right is pivotal to the enjoyment of the battle. If they come on too early, they'll just sweep the French. Come on too late, the French are probably going to push the British back. So the Prussian arrival basically turned up at lunch on the first day. It felt early, but actually that meant it had 12 turns to impact on the French. So the Prussian players were actually doing stuff, and actually it turned out that that was enough time for decent combat, and then for advance we held them up. Now the rules meant that 12 turns would probably not be enough to get from where they were to La Belle Alliance because the field was so massive, and that's where the Prussians and Wellington and Blucher met up. But yeah, the Prussians arrived in force, got arranged, sorted out their massive sort of car parking issues, and then were able to start absolutely smashing us. There were umpires floating around. There were plenty of those. So I counted about 8 umpires in the white shirts. Super available. Really handy. Now there are a few different. Like I said before, you get 100 wargamers together. You get 105 different opinions. There are a few different house rules and stuff floating around, and but once all that was sorted out and settled down, we basically got into hammer it, and the umpires were there to answer stuff. Plenty of quick reference sheets floating around and stat lines and stuff floating around. I think the only thing I would have improved, but it probably would have affected the flow of the game too much, was the terrain. Certainly I've refought Waterloo quite a bit. The Battleground Waterloo games of the 90s and stuff, and actually the terrain across the battlefield would break up a lot of sort of the attack formations and stuff that were thrown over, or lines and defence and stuff. But that's just a minor thing. Like I say, I think it would have detracted too much from the game. Certainly, I think over by Hougoumont, where there was lots of sort of terrain and hedgerows, that it sounded like it had a bit of an impact on the game, and certainly there's some of that should have probably existed over our side, but didn't. But yeah, the game organisation, like I say, when I first heard about it, I was a bit sceptical. Actually, when I played in it, it was superb. The decisions made were all logical. It all made sense. There were big screens up to tell you when your time was coming up, that the French player turn, 3-minute warning, Prussian warning, lunch times were well signposted. Yeah, like I say, I have absolutely no complaints about the event organisation, the game organisation, the study day that went into it, and it's something I am really glad and proud to have taken part in, and yeah, I'd certainly want to be involved in another similar sort of event. And I know Tony was talking about this being a one-off. I think it was so special and so well done that it doesn't have to be a one-off, but it doesn't need to be regular. So somebody's organised an event for 700 people. I know the first one's a lot of work because you're learning new things, you're uncovering new ground, you're pushing things on in areas you don't know. But then the second and the third, all that exploratory groundwork has been done. You know what you're doing, you know what your teams need, and the people on the ground have done it and done it before. So I certainly appreciate the amount of work and effort that's gone into it. But I would wholeheartedly say that if something like this was to be repeated, that there's enough expertise now, enough knowledge, and enough goodwill for that to certainly happen. And certainly, I would reckon if this something like this happened every 2 years, I think it would be a really valuable thing for the charity, and keep pushing the image of the charity and profile of the charity is the word I'm looking for. So as a final thing, if you see this was our divisional commander, which I painted up for the day. So he was Duret. So I can see that that's not focusing very well. So Duret. So we commanded the 4th Division of 1st Corps. So this was a divisional commander, and this was my brigade commander, Pego. Just to show some miniatures off there. So yes, so that's been my thoughts for the event. Like I say, for me, I was blown away by the sheer amount of fellowship and camaraderie of the event. If you were there and you've got some thoughts on the event, do share. Let us know what your thoughts and feelings and experiences were. But that's goodbye for now, and I hope you're having a great hobby week. Bye.